Business, startup, investor. If we keep going down the line, sooner or later we will say Dubai, a city that in just a few years has become one of the world's biggest financial hubs. Why? Because the United Arab Emirates creates unique opportunities for business. Their policies and legislation are designed to attract investment, but behind every opportunity lie different pitfalls and the need to follow the rules flawlessly. One wrong step, and even the most promising project can collapse. I'm Daria with Garam Business Consultancy. Today we will break down which legal and financial tools help attract capital and how to make sure your startup thrives safely and effectively in the Emirati ecosystem. Let's start. Why do investors from all over the world choose Dubai not just to visit but as a true home for their money? It's not only about luxury and stunning views, it's about real financial opportunities that are hard to find anywhere else. In 2024, foreign direct investment in Dubai grew by 12% and reached $15.5 billion. And this is not the limit. The growth has already continued in the first half of 2025. The main reason why Dubai is so attractive is its tax policy. Personal wealth is practically not taxed here. Corporate tax is 9% and it only applies to profits above 375,000 dirhams. Even then, there is still a chance to benefit from a zero tax regime. We cover this in detail in our video about corporate tax. Beyond tax advantages, investors are drawn to the business infrastructure. Dubai has already established specialized zones that allow startups and international companies to operate in a safe and flexible environment. It's easy to register a company, get legal support, open a bank account, and connect to a global investor network. But for investments to work perfectly, the first step is to determine how your business will be structured and where it will be based. Where will the business lead? Are there really options? Yes, in Dubai there are several types of jurisdictions. First, free zones. There are like islands, special economic zones where foreigners can own a company 100%. But business activity is mostly limited to the zone itself or to expats abroad. Then there is a mainland, the rest of the UAE's territory. Here, companies can work with any clients across the entire country and run a regular business onshore. For startups with external investors, free zones are often the preferred choice. This decision directly affects how a startup will attract investments and protect its interests. The rules on the mainland and in free zones differ, and understanding these differences is crucial. Let's start with the ability to issue different classes of shares. This is a tool that allows startups to create preferential shares for investors. Holders of such shares have the right to receive dividends first, but they do not interfere in the company's operational management. By protecting themselves from excessive control, founders keep the flexibility to grow. This setup works best alongside a shareholders' agreement, which clearly defines the rights and obligations of owners of different classes of shares. It establishes dividend conditions, voting procedures, and investor exit terms, turning the technical division of shares into a legally protected instrument. Here, an important distinction arises between different free zones. For example, the Dubai International Financial Center and Abu Dhabi Global Market fully support our share class division. Dubai Multi-Commodities Center does as well, but with a limitation. No more than 20% of shares can be preferential. Other zones like Dubai Global Market and Ras Al Khaimah Creative City offer even more flexibility, allowing companies to tailor their structure to specific investment goals. There are many more differences in rules across various zones, and we will discuss them later. But the key point here is choosing the right structure is not just a legal formality. It determines how smooth investor negotiations will be, how risks and rights are distributed, and how transparent and secure the investment deal becomes. For startups, this means raising capital without losing control, while for investors, it means confidence that their funds are well protected. But what if startup knows exactly how much money it wants to raise, but doesn't yet know who the investor will be or when they will come on board? A tool that makes raising capital flexible and safe: Treasury Shares. These are shares that are issued by the company in advance and remain on its balance sheet until the moment they are sold to the investor. Imagine this. You're a young and energetic startup founder with an idea that will change the world and make you at least the next Elon Musk. But you need to raise a modest 2 million dirhams. Neither you, nor your partner, nor even the devil himself knows which investors will come in and in what amount. Instead of issuing shares for each investor separately, you keep them on your balance sheet and sell them gradually. The investor buys the shares directly from the company, and the funds immediately go to the corporate account. The startup maintains full transparency and control over the process, and you personally can safely head to a bar and pop open a bottle of champagne. With this approach, you always know how many shares are in circulation, while your investors receive legally secured rights to dividends and profit participation, without interfering in operational decisions. This is especially important for companies with a large number of shareholders, or in cases where several investors want to join at different stages of financing. The link between treasury shares and preferred shares is also crucial. A startup can issue treasury shares as either common or preferred, distributing voting rights and dividends depending on the capital raising strategy. Such a flexible tool allows founders to protect their interests while making investments attractive to professional investors. Combined with a right jurisdiction and a well-organized share structure, treasury shares turn Dubai into a place where venture investments work at maximum efficiency. Startups get the resources to grow, investors gain confidence in the protection of their funds, and the capital raising process becomes transparent, predictable, and scalable. We've covered the theory. Now it's time for practice. Let's take a look on how successful startups are using Dubai's opportunities and what mistakes beginners are still making. A vivid example is the fintech startup Tabi, which in 2024 became the first unicorn from the UAE, raising more than $350 million. From the very beginning, the team structured the company for Western investors. They registered a holding in the AFC, pre-approved the issuance of preferred shares with clearly defined dividend rights and liquidation preferences, and recorded all terms in the official register of the center. In addition, Tabi executed shareholder agreements in the Anglo-Saxon format, familiar to American funds, and opened a dollar account. This allowed them to close investment rounds in just a few weeks without unnecessary bureaucracy or currency restrictions. No less illustrative is the case of Fuse. In September 2025, the blockchain platform raised $30 million after setting up a treasury share pool in advance. These shares were kept on the company's balance sheet and fully registered, so investors were buying already issued stakes directly, and the money went straight into the corporate account. According to The National, this allowed the deal to be closed in just a few days, a key advantage when venture funds want to lock in the terms of a round before the end of the quarter. But not all stories are as successful. New founders often make two serious mistakes. The first is choosing the wrong free zone. For example, a company might register in a jurisdiction where there is no option to issue different classes of shares. As a result, the startup is forced to completely rebuild the structure, wasting both time and money. The second is ignoring disclosure requirements for preferred shares. To give an example, often a company charter will formally state Class B shares, but will fail to describe their actual dividend rights or conversion procedures. If a dispute arises, the court relies on a charter, not on side letters exchanged between investors, and the preferred shares may lose their claimed advantages. Today we discussed why Dubai remains one of the most convenient platforms for attracting investment. Low taxation, flexible corporate structures, and cases like Tabi and Fuse demonstrate that with proper preparation, businesses can scale across the Middle East and beyond. The key is to choose the right jurisdiction and plan your share structure in advance to avoid restrictions later in the growth stage. This was Daria with Garant Business Consultancy. Subscribe to get fresh insights on investments in Dubai and reliable data without noise or rumors. See you in the next episodes. Bye bye.